Good day, everyone. How are you doing today, y'all? I hope everybody's well. Today, the topic we're going to be talking about is ways to keep your sanity during the holidays while you're co-parenting. And that's the long version of it. But yeah, let me put that in the comments. And I'm going to try to pin it. So as you guys are coming in, good evening, good day, good day, good day. Let me move all these cords out of the way so that I'm not tripping over anything. How to deal with stress during the holidays while co-parenting. All right. And that's what I'm going to pin. I hope everyone is doing well. How was y'all weekend? Today's Monday. We back at it again, right? It's like the weeks and stuff are just they come so quick. They come and it feels like the weekends come and go very quickly. Sometimes I wish I had longer, but sometimes some of my days feel longer than others. But I hope everybody's doing well. My name is Jamie Newton Knight. I am your motherhood mastery mentor, helping moms in co-parenting and blended families take charge of their lives, balance their families, and co-parent with ease. So today, again, like I said, the topic that we're going to be talking about is how to deal with stress during the holidays while co-parenting. So I told my community that, because I do have an online community, so if you are not a part of my tribe, if you are not a part of my village, then you can find us on Facebook under the Cooperative Co-Parenting Blend, which is my Facebook group. Excuse if you hear children are running around, because my 9-year-old and 6-year-old are home and we're doing remote learning, so excuse the noise if you hear it. But I was saying that my weekend was kind of busy. I went and got tested for COVID this past weekend because I'm going on a business retreat this Friday. And in order to travel, you needed to make sure that you got tested, right? They want to make sure that you're not bringing nothing to their country. Yeah, they're like, don't bring nothing here, please keep it there. And so I just said that the preparation for the trip was like a whirlwind, but I'm sure that it's going to be so worth it in the end, right? And I just mentioned to my community that sometimes life throws a curveball at us, and that's just how it is sometimes. Like, how we handle it is what's important. And with all if you see me looking back and forth, it's because I'm doing lives on 2 different places. But with all the travel restrictions in place, you had to do it. It's just what, it's what it is. But I felt like there was a point when I felt like, you know what, forget about it. Forget about it. I don't, it's too much. It felt like there was one thing that kept coming after the other. It was like, okay, you have to have your testing, but you also have to make sure the testing is within this particular time frame. But you also have to make sure you apply for a visa, and that gets approved before you get here. So it's like all of these things that are necessary to travel, but within this small amount of time. And I could have said, forget about it. That's just too much. But instead, I took things as they came, so that I wouldn't put myself under any unnecessary stress. And the reason that I did that is because I know for myself that when I stress out too much or get too anxious, then for me, I get migraines, right? And so no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to have no migraines. So, I'm going to be talking about ways of how to deal with stress during the holidays while we're co-parenting, because things do come up and they throw you off. And in blended families and co-parenting relationships, things are ever changing. There's never something that stays the same, right? But when you change your mindset and how you handle it, then it flows a little bit differently. And not to say different means perfect or different means worse, but just different just means different. And so another thing that we have to remember while we're dealing with the holidays and trying to co-parent and stuff like that is the fact that we have COVID running rampant, right? And so this is something that we didn't have to deal with last Christmas or Thanksgiving, but this is something new that's occurring this year for Christmas and Thanksgiving. So now, in addition to the stresses that already come with co-parenting, now we're also adding on to that the fact that we're in COVID and it looks so different. Because for some parents, they hadn't been able to see their kids for quite some time. And then for other parents, it's just a very unique situation that we're in. So whether this is your first holiday apart or if it's been years and you still struggle with co-parenting during the holiday, because the reality is that the struggle could be because of COVID, or you could have been struggling way before COVID. Like, this is nothing new to you. Y'all struggle every year and you need some tips on moving forward, right? So regardless of whichever one it is, sometimes, let's say this is your first holiday apart, whether it's through divorce or the parent moved away or because of COVID, right? Respect each other's process of how you're going to handle it, right? This particular year. So just respect one another's process. No two people will process things the same. And you have to understand that no two people process things the same. So allow everyone their own way to process. I always think about divorce as grief, because when you are losing a person in your family, so just like the whole family dynamic changes, the dad moves out or the mom moves out, that's a loss to a child. Can I call my mom still? Absolutely. But it's not the same as going from every single day your parent being in the household with you to now you see them every other weekend. It's completely different. So if this is the first year that you are experiencing this particular loss, then make sure that you allow everyone to process it in their own way. And then not just that, but respect the way that they process it. Because just for you, you might say, I want to surround myself with people. Or let's do this Christmas just like any other Christmas and Thanksgiving. But for your child, they may not be in that place mentally of like feeling like they want to do that. They might pull themselves away. So tip number 1 is allow everyone their own way to process. Respect one another's process. Tip number 2 is pay attention to what you need. Because we always talk about pouring from an empty cup. Like, you can't give anybody something that you don't have. So you have to be very crystal clear on the things that you need as well. In this situation, I always would say, I'm not going to say always, but I often will tell my moms, the moms in my group, in my community, that they have to learn to do self-care and to put themselves first sometimes. Because if they're not okay, then nothing else after them will be okay. And I always make the connection between traveling on a plane and how they tell you to give yourself the oxygen before you give it to your child next to you. Whereas our thought process is different. Our thought process is, let me help my child first and then help me. But when they tell you the information, it's, if you don't put it on you first, you could pass out trying to give your child some help, and then you're unable to help yourself, and now who's going to take care of the child? So pay attention to what you need. Pay attention to the things that you need. So that's tip number 2. Again, I would usually say put yourself first, but in this situation, I'm not going to say that, because tip number 3 is put your children first. They don't care about who shot John. And I say that saying, I know it's like a really old saying. My grandma used to say it. They don't care about who shot John, meaning they don't care about your rift between each other, between parents. They don't care what dad did to you or you did to dad. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to see you fighting and feuding and warring. They just want their parents around for this particular holiday. And whether that be in the physical sense or just having the ability to be able to have contact with them. You know, you have to put your child's needs first. So tip number 1, allow everyone their own way to process. Tip number 2, pay attention to what you need. Tip number 3, put the kids' needs first. Tip number 4 is show grace and be flexible. This one is often difficult for some people because they feel like, I already know how this co-parent does and I know how they act and therefore they don't want to show grace. Like, you know, you were supposed to be here on Friday to pick up and you weren't, so guess what? You forfeited your weekend. But in this situation, because of COVID too, but just in general, because of your child and their needs, we should learn to show grace and be flexible. Don't be a stickler for time and don't be a stickler for structure. Like, okay, you know, we cut the cake at 7 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. And so Johnny has to be back by 7 p.m. Again, I don't know a child named Johnny, but I always use the name Johnny as a reference. Little Johnny has to be back by 7 p.m. Like, if dad comes back by 7:30, don't make a big deal of it because, for one, it's really not that big of a deal. I know that, you know, there's some things that are traditional and people have as traditions, but if you get so stuck in a specific way and then things start to shift, you're stressing yourself out. You're not stressing them out. And just go with the flow of things. And I'm not saying with everything. I'm just saying if it's reasonable, then see if you can be a little bit more flexible, show a little bit more grace. Which leads me to number 5, because I just talked about showing grace and being flexible and not being a stickler for the time. Be real. Number 5 is be real. And why do I say be real? I'm saying be real because you know who you're dealing with. You know who they are. You know how they are. So if, for instance, for myself, my son's father would not pick up on time or bring back on time, right? And so if I'm expecting that on Christmas Day, then he's going to be back at 3 p.m. so that we can start dinner, and he brings him back at 4, and then I make this big deal about it, then that kind of messes up my mood, but not just that, my son's mood. So if I'm real about it and I'm like, okay, this dude is never on time. He's always late. So I'm leaving a little bit of room for error and I'm not exactly expecting him to be on time. If he does, you're like, oh, great, cool. Look at this. Look at that. Look at who showed up on time. Then it's great. But if he doesn't, I'm real with myself, right? I expect what I know. And what I know is that he's often late. If he doesn't show up late and he shows up on time, then I'm just going to be grateful for the fact that he showed up on time. And things are going to continue to flow as they should, right? Tip number, is that 5 or 6? That's 5. Okay. Tip number 6. And this is a 2-part tip. Your ex is not your problem. How is that a tip that's going to help me deal with stress this year? Your ex is not your problem. So whether you are the mom and the ex is by himself at home sulking because he's by himself and he doesn't have his family in town and he doesn't have a new partner, not your problem. If you are a dad and your ex the mom of your child is at home by herself and she doesn't have family in town and she doesn't have a partner and you have a family, not your problem. Not your problem. Is it nice to think of other people? Absolutely. Would it be nice of you to think of your ex and say, oh, she's home by herself, maybe we can do things a little bit differently this year? Then yeah, you can. That's up to you. But them being by themselves is not your problem. So let go of any guilty feelings about how or why things didn't work out between you and the fact that they are now alone for the holidays, because that's not your problem. This is when you start to create those new traditions that I talked about last week. Create something new. If you know that your ex is going to be alone this year, then this is the year that you might decide, let's create a new tradition. Let's decide that we're going to do half the day at her house and the other half at my house. Or let's create a moment where all of us are together for the first 2 hours and Johnny's opening up his gifts. And then for the remaining of the day, since it is my day to have him, then I leave with my family, me and my family leave, and we go and do something else. Create a new tradition in this regard, because your ex is not your problem, which goes into number 6A, because like I said, this is a twofold. Bio moms, take the time to create new plans for yourself. If you are the mom that I'm talking about in number 6, right, which is your ex is not your problem. If you are the ex and you are the person who's alone, take the time to create new plans for yourself. Take that time to say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reflect this year. Just this Christmas, I'm going to reflect. Take some time to have fun. Take some time to turn the music up real, real loud and sing at the top of your lungs like you can sing like Mariah Carey, or take the time to turn the music up and dance like you were in the latest, if you want to call it the latest hip hop video, but I'm old school, I'm 90s girl, so I'm going to refer back to like Big Daddy Kane and LL Cool J. If you was a video girl in one of their videos, like go back to that. Enjoy that time. Enjoy alone time. And if you're not the type of person who likes to be alone, then spend time with friends and family. But if you are alone, make sure you binge watch something or do your favorite thing, cook, or, whatever makes you happy, the thing that makes you happy. Say yes to some of those invitations that you've been turning down because you didn't have a babysitter. Take time to do those things, right? If you know that like, oh, okay, I was never able to go and travel with my friends on this particular day because I didn't have a sitter. This year you do. This year the children are gone with their other parent. And now you have the opportunity to go and do something different, right? To now say yes to those invitations that you once turned down, right? Do something. Another thing that's really important and good to do is, and this is all still to bio mom, do something for someone else. And I say that one, I mentioned that one because there was a time when I was the ex who was alone as a bio mom. So I understand what it feels like. I'm not telling you anything that I've never experienced myself. I would never that's like trying to teach something that I have no knowledge about. Me standing in front of people trying to tell them how to do math. I'm not a math teacher. Really couldn't tell you anything about it. I don't know. I'm telling you this because I've experienced it myself. And this is what I did for myself. So at first it was very difficult to be by myself. So I didn't want to be alone. Right? So I would accept invitations from other people now. Now I'm traveling to other people's houses on the holiday and spending that time with them. But there comes a point when you're like, I want to be with my own family, or finally when I stop running from myself, because there's a healing process that goes along, right? And within that healing process, there was a point where I couldn't sit still. I couldn't be by myself and I couldn't sit still, because sitting still and being alone meant I had to stop and think about what happened in my relationship and how upset and sad and hurt and angry or jealous or whatever it made me feel. And I didn't want to feel. So I kept moving. But there was a point when I stopped. And that was the year that I started to reflect. And that's why I say to reflect. And this part where I said do something for someone else is the part that changed the course of my life. For a Thanksgiving, instead of spending it with family or doing anything like that, I decided to spend that year at a soup kitchen. My church created a way where we could all volunteer, and I said, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. And so I volunteered, and I shout out to Lower Manhattan Community Church, because that is the church that I was attending at that time, and I didn't even think about that when I put the shirt on today. But that's the church I attended at the time. That is the church I still attend. And they had the opportunity to volunteer at a soup kitchen. I volunteered at that soup kitchen, and just being in a space with a bunch of people who didn't have family, but who just was trying to, they were there because they were hungry. They were there because they didn't have the basic things that you and I might have. And it was such a humbling experience that it was like, for me, I felt like, you complaining about what? Like, these people don't even have the option. You have an option. You have the choice, right? You have food. You have family. You have friends. And so it just put things into perspective for me. It was really nice to be able to volunteer at the soup kitchen, because it created a new mindset for me. So that is 6A and 6B, or whatever you want to, number 6 and 6A. And the last one, which is number 7, is you are the boss of you. After God. After God. Make sure you get that in there, that I said after God. You are the boss of you. And why do I even mention that? Because we can't control people. Like, we can't control other people. We can't control what they do. We can't control whether they pick up on time or not, or whether they show up or not, or whether they push for an argument or not. Like, we can't do that. All we can control is our reactions to these people. So don't stress yourself out. And don't allow them to, like, put you in a bad mood. Don't do that. Come on, people. So I'm going to go over all the tips again. Tip number 1 was allow everyone their own way to process. Respect one another's process. Tip number 2 was pay attention to what you need. Tip number 3 is put your kids' needs first. Tip number 4 is show grace and be flexible. Tip number 5 is be real. Come on, y'all. Be real with yourselves. Tip number 6 is a twofold tip, which is number 6 is your ex is not your problem. And 6A or 6B is bio mom, take the time to create your own new thing of, you're not your ex's problem. Therefore, create a new plan for yourself. And then I gave you a list of things you can do. And tip number 7 is you are the boss of you after God. You're the boss of you after God. Okay? So those are the tips on how to deal with stress during the holidays while co-parenting. But I'm not giving you those things and then just leaving it there, okay? I chose some scriptures this time to help for when you are feeling stressed and anxious, because I feel like it's important. If you know me, you know that I love God and I'm on my walk. And so I talk about that, and I talk about God, and I talk about the things he's done in my life to get me through the struggles I've gone through. Co-parenting was a great challenge for me because of my situation. Being engaged to this man, finding out he's cheating, and then having to co-parent with him and the person he cheated on me with. So in dealing with all of that, I had to go to God, because I just felt like I was like, God, you betrayed me. You gave me this guy and things were going well and we were together for X amount of time. And we have a child together and I thought things were going to go well. And here we are. What did I do wrong? And so I felt like that for a long time, but God was going along my journey. God was there the whole way. And, self-help books, but the Bible and other biblical resources were my strength of getting through that. And so I'm going to leave you with this first scripture, which is Philippians 4:6-7. It says, don't fret or worry. Instead of worrying, pray. Let petitions and praises shape your worries into prayers, letting God know your concerns. Before you know it, a sense of God's wholeness, everything coming together for good, will come and settle you down. It's wonderful what happens when Christ displaces worry at the center of your life. And this was from the Message Bible. But it says something along the terms of don't fret, right? It's telling you, like, don't worry about what man is doing or what people are trying to do to you, because sometimes people are going to try to instigate a fight, stress you out. Don't go and play into it. God's going to take care of that. Don't worry. He's got it. And the second scripture is Psalms 37:7-9. And this is coming from the New International Version. It says, be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain. I wanted to talk right in the middle of that. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret. It leads only to evil. For those who are evil will be destroyed, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. And it's what I wanted to say and interject in the Bible, right? I should have just read the scripture. Is that, like, be still before the Lord and wait patiently. Sometimes that's the biggest challenge we have, is being still and waiting for God to take care of it. Because there's a movie, a Medea movie. And in the movie, Medea says, I'm tired of waiting for God. I just want people to get got because they hurt me, or because they did this thing to me, or because they're trying to do this evil thing to me. And why is it that here I am suffering and crying? And I did feel this way when I was going through my co-parenting journey. Here I am struggling and feeling stressed and feeling angry and feeling all these different things. And here he is winning. He, got this new job, and now he's doing the right thing in his life, and he's actually being a better individual so that he can have a marriage or a girlfriend, whatever. But all the things that I felt like he was supposed to be doing when he was with me, now he's doing with this new young lady. And I'm like, God, like, how does that work? Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. God knows better than we know. And here I was stuck on being upset about that and probably missing some of my blessings. When I stopped worrying about that and started to allow God to do his own work in my life, I took some years, I was celibate, and I was just crystal clear on who and what I wanted in my life. I was able to weed out and discern anything that was not good, and I learned to let it go. And I was able to find my husband, or my husband was able to find me. And that's a whole different experience than I expected it to be. I wasn't looking for a husband. I wasn't looking for a boyfriend. So to have found this man, and not just this man, a good man, I was like, oh, wow, look at how God works. Be still. Don't fret. God's got you. So I wanted to leave you with those scriptures. That's Philippians 4:6-7 and Psalms 37:7-9. So I hope this helps you if you have any stress or anything like that that's coming up during this holiday season. I hope these scriptures bring you comfort, because they absolutely bring me comfort. And if you are still struggling Whether it's communication, which I spoke about last month in October, whether it's how to deal with the holidays, because that's what we're dealing with right now, or anything regarding mastering your motherhood or being able to co-parent without the struggle. Make sure you schedule make sure you schedule a motherhood mastery clarity call with me so that we can get clear on what you need. And I can help you work through getting to that level that you're trying to get to. And I would say, yeah, let's do this now, because 2021 is coming in and we're going to start the new year off, and you want to start it off right. But the reality is that you have to feel within your heart that you're ready to move. There's something in you that feels like, all right, I've been resistant about making changes. I've gotten too comfortable in this struggle, right? Some people are okay with the struggle and the pain, and some people live for the drama. But when you're finally ready to push that stuff away and say, I need to move, I need to see things change, I need a happy, healthy relationship for my child, I need my child to see, or my children to see, healthy co-parenting, then please schedule that call with me. Get in there. You and I can chit chat, and I can help you get crystal clear on next steps. So again, I hope you guys were blessed by this. Don't forget to read Philippians 4:6-7 and Psalms 37:7-9. If you are struggling through this season or this holiday season with co-parenting, and you kind of just feel like you're fretting and you're worrying, don't fret. Do not fret. Do not worry. Be still. God's got you. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys back here next Monday. Wait, will I? You know what? No, there will be no Monday chat next Monday unless I do it a little bit earlier, because I will be out of town for this weekend through Monday. Actually, I'm actually coming back to New York on Monday, so I don't want to say that I am going to have a Monday chat, because I likely will not, because I'll probably be on the plane. So I'll see you guys next Tuesday at 2 p.m. for our live, and we'll catch up then. God bless you all. Have an amazing and blessed day. Hey, Allison. Hey, Alicia. God bless you.